Hello and welcome to this video where you get to watch me edit. But first, let me show you my workflow. First of all, I recommend keeping all of your assets in some sort of cloud, especially if you use a lot of different devices to produce content. So for this video, I used my iPad, a Canon camera, as well as my desktop computer. So make sure you give things good names and then import your files into a new project. And then the first thing I do is sync tracks. So if I have multiple tracks with audio, I line those up first before you do anything else. Another thing I do right at the beginning is remove a green screen if I used one. And then I start my rough cut and I will determine when the video will start and end. I cut out all the mistakes, the retakes, and any excess footage. Then I will add effects to enhance learning and improve clarity. So all the animations and annotations, all the text, and I will also do fine edits at that point. I will alter clip speed if needed. And then I add transitions and I will remove extra audio tracks at the end and add music if needed and check all my audio levels. Then I have my final cleanup and export, and then I will caption and upload. So let's see what all that looks like. So we're going to begin at the beginning. This is all of the gear that I'm using to make this video, all the gear from the kit. I am also using my own iPad to control the camera. It's not necessary, but it's really nice if you can do it. I have a video showing how to use the Canon Connect app. You'll also see me here making a mistake, and if you do that, you want to clap so that you'll be able to see it in the edit later. And anyway, this is just, I wanted you to see what the filming itself actually looks like. So here we go. The first thing that happens is I'm going to rename the files. I'm going to drag them onto my computer from the SD card. And then I'm going to drag the files from there into the media bin in Camtasia. And then the main files go into the timeline. So in this case, I've got the recording from the screen as well as the footage from the Canon camera. I align the audio from both. In this particular case, it was almost perfect, but that's never happened to me before. So normally you have to drag them around and align them. Here's my first cut. I'm showing you using a menu, but you'll find that there are certain things like cutting and ripple deletes that you'll use all the time. And so those shortcuts are going to come in handy. So next I'm going to name my tracks so that you can very quickly look and see, oh yeah, that's the Canon and that was my screencast from my desktop computer. The next thing I'm going to do is crop the camera track because I only want to make myself appear in the corner of the video. And then I'm going to do my first effect. I'm going to remove that green screen. So I drag it onto the track and then I select the color with the little dropper, select a color close to your head, and then you can fine tune it. I usually do adjust the tolerance a little bit, sometimes the hue, it depends on the lighting. And as you can see, that's actually pretty good. Then I can resize myself and put myself in the corner where I belong. Okay, it's time for the rough cut. So this is when I'm going to take out spaces, mistakes. I like to use the playhead for this, and as you can see right there, I just kind of select what I don't want, and then Camtasia will stitch those two ends together, and you'll see a little seam in the timeline. This section was just repetitive. I think I said the same thing twice, and I just listened through to make sure, and yes, so I can delete very quickly. You see the little stitch right there. So after I have my rough cut, I go back and I start to add animations and annotations. I cannot overemphasize the value of humor. So here I'm going to add a sad face because I'm empathizing with the students. I know that the names of these muscles can be somewhat daunting. So that little face, it's very faint, but it can make an impact. Here's my first use of a custom animation. I love these custom animations. Basically, the beginning and the end point are what you set. I use this to resize and move things all the time. And here I need to show my elbow because I'm actually demonstrating flexion and extension. So I needed to change the size of my little crop there. And I use a custom animation for that. I'm going to use it again. Here you see you just drag it in. I set where I want the animation to start, and then where I want it to end and what I want it to look like. So I'm making myself smaller. I'm recropping because I don't need to have all of that width anymore. Play it through, make sure that it is the way I want it to be. And here I'm going to have this whole extra section, which somehow I missed on my rough cut. So let's go ahead and delete that. That looks much better. Here I am. I'm just adjusting that custom animation a little bit. I realized I needed to change the size just so that it looked a little bit better with the section that comes next. And here is the last time I believe you're going to see me select a whole area. I decided that that was just not essential information, so I cut it out. Many times when you are editing, you need to start back at the beginning and watch the whole thing and make sure that the flow is good, that the pacing is right. I found out right here that I was blocking my own text. You never want to do that. Obviously, the text is there because it's really important, so don't block it. But I'm making these little fine adjustments of my custom animations, and now I'm going to add some text. So I just drag that text box over, and then I can, of course, modify it like any object. And over to the right, I can change all different aspects of how it looks. I keep everything under a theme that I call Penguin Prof, so I don't have to change all of my settings all the time. And here I am just selecting where I want that text to come in and out. And now I'm adding some more text over here. This is a label for what we're actually looking at. I want that to be up there so they know it's a cross section. And I'm also adding a little bit of humor, or really empathy. And I'm very particular about how I want the jokes to appear. They don't last very long, and it's very important that I time it correctly with what I'm saying. Next, I'm going to add a highlight because I realized that while I was talking about the radius and the ulna in cross-section, and there is a label there, but I just realized that adding that highlight would really make that structure pop. Next, I'm going to add some text to ask a question, which I highly recommend. Asking questions and having students respond is just one of those things that you would do in a face-to-face situation, and you can still do it in a video. I want to make sure that the question appears at a point where it makes the most sense. And here I'm adding another joke. You can touch yourself in my class. I say that a lot because, I mean, it's anatomy, and students will get a good laugh out of it, and it will cause them to relax a little bit and remind them that, use whatever is available to you, to help you with this stuff. And I added a quick animation. This is how I use Snagit to create the B-roll that I'm going to use in the video. So this is an amazing app called Complete Anatomy. I'm using Snagit and doing a quick screen recording. I'm just basically rotating the model while the muscle is highlighted. And when I click stop recording, you'll notice a very similar kind of user interface here. Snagit and Camtasia have a lot in common. So I'm just clipping the beginning and the end of the video. Then I click share, click Camtasia, and it goes automatically into my Camtasia project. This is so cool. Of course, I rename it right away, naming it after the muscle that it's demonstrating. And then I'm going to drag it into my timeline. And now I'm going to do some cool animations to highlight this video. So I've got a list of the muscles that they need to know in this category. And now what I'm doing is cropping and resizing the video that I just made. I put it behind myself, as you can see. So now it's not blocking my face, but the muscle that I'm showing them is very clearly highlighted. And so I'm going to do that with several different muscles. So all I'm doing here is using custom animations as well as the tilt left tool to achieve this effect. And so I make sure that they can see the list on the left, it's tilted to the left, and then I have the really nice video behind me. Last thing here is I am adding a no opacity for a fade out. Finally, I'm going to remove the audio from the screencast track. I keep that on just to make sure I'm always in sync with myself. You can either just remove the audio or select the gain to 0. And now I'm ready to export. I usually export as a local file because I can control all the different aspects of the project that I want. And that is it. I hope it was helpful for you. That's a bit exhausting to film, so I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.